will flow. So that's exactly what goes on. And that's, if that weren't the case, the Green Infrastructure Initiative wouldn't work. Because Green Infrastructure, the idea is to put water into the ground. It has to, they have some place to go, and it has to flow. You can't just put water into a bathtub.
So it's just this.
Yeah, yeah.
So, man.
He's disappointed.
It's disappointed.
Yeah.
It's dirt. My point is, it's not necessarily.
That was cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have
I was like-
tomorrow.
It was like
Monday.
water could just flow right through
Monday,
this.
Monday,
That's right.
tomorrow's Monday.
That's right.
I can't imagine someone building a house on this. Like, wouldn't it just collapse?
No, sand is actually reasonable.
Okay.
No, they actually they would do pylons actually sometimes, or they'll do just to get enough.
Yeah, but they just
Yeah.
put the foundation on this. Sand, what you don't like is soil that has organic matter in it, because that decomposes and settles around.
Wow.
So they actually like sand.
Yep.
They like that because that's pretty stable.
Yep.
I've seen like when they cut out a tree and then they put like pavers on it and it just collapses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we sent you comments, or sent council,
Yeah,
and you're a member of council, so that includes you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've looked at them or if you have any
Which comments? Because
questions.
you guys send a lot. So.
No, we sent comments in response to the dewatering ordinance.
Mm.
And that's the one that Raj sent, hey, you sent some comments.
Mm.
Would you come in and talk to
Sure.
council member Tanaka?
Sure.
So my first question is, did you have any questions on those comments, or
Well,
did you look at them?
I get a lot of comments. So maybe if you just give a kind of overview, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So I don't know if I bring them all. It was a document that was this long.
Okay.
And these are the comments to which staff responded.
Mhm.
So staff sent a response to some council members, asked, what does staff think of this, and staff responded.
And what do you think staff's response?
So, so as you know, some enhancements, if you want to call it, some revisions to the dewatering ordinance are on the consent calendar. And the consent calendar is yay or nay. So these revisions have some useful things in it, but they don't really address the problem. And that's what staff said, is there are other things which staff should get back to you guys on. Now, staff has had 2 years to work on this, so they're not making very fast process. So our opinion is pass the consent calendar item. But what's important is to come back early next year, not next December, and address the issues that we talk about here. And there are really 2 or 3 major areas. The first is there's nothing in here to deal with large or commercial sites. And there's nothing in the dewatering ordinance that treats
No,
the
I
town.
thought large commercial sites also apply.
They also apply, but what you can do with a commercial site, the city allows you to pump as much water as you want, as fast as you want, as long as you want. So even though for residential sites, they usually enforce 12 weeks, for commercial sites, they don't.
Okay, I didn't realize it was uneven.
It is. The law says, the regulation says one thing, but the current revision of the ordinance allows the city engineer to approve pumping year round. So the current revision actually allows more pumping.
The revision does?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
This is in the consent calendar item.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Okay. So it allows the city engineer, for whatever reason they want, to make whatever exceptions they want.
So why do you want the consent item to pass then?
Because otherwise nothing's going to take effect for next year. So our ideal would have been, but this isn't practical. Our deal would have been that this item is moved to discussion, and it's passed with an amendment that staff come back and finish the job early next year.
Why not do that?
Because we felt that that probably wouldn't happen with this council. So if we had confidence that that would happen, that's what I would ask for. But I don't know how to predict that.
Why don't you think it would happen?
Just because I don't know how it's going to vote 5-4. Someone might reschedule not the item for tonight or tomorrow night, but reschedule to February,
Mm.
and that would be a bad outcome.
Mm.
Because what they should do is coming back with the answers in February. Since this is the last meeting of the year, if it isn't done as a discussion item, I mean, if you proposed it and Mayor Sharp went along, yes, it will pass, but it has to be for tomorrow night to make the amendment so that staff can come back and do it. But if they say, no, we'll pull this from the consent calendar, we'll make it a discussion item, and we'll schedule it in February, that's a bad outcome.
I have no idea what they'll do.
Yeah.
I mean, because it has to do with the agenda, right?
Yeah, and so unless someone says we're going to agendize it tonight, then then we don't have that option.
Yeah, although the agenda's pretty busy.
It's busy, so we figured, okay, pass this, but then my question is how, and this is my question for you, is how do we get the staff, and staff's response says these other items should be addressed. That's what they say in their response. So, but they need resources and council consent. So how do we get that to happen? How does that get to happen?
The thing I was surprised by is that commercial and residential need enforcement. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, and in fact, for commercial, generally speaking, it's not very practical to have pump fill stations there because they, for trucks. So in fact, for commercial, they generally don't have fill stations. Because the commercial sites are much bigger, generally the flow rates are much higher. And also the commercial places, they have the money to do a good job if they're required to do
So
it.
you know the project on Page Mill
Yes.
and Elk Mill?
Yes, they're using a cutoff wall there, and then they have some dewatering, but you're correct.
I don't see any dewatering. Where's the dewatering?
There's a little bit, but
Really?
not very much, yes. You see those blue tanks? I don't know how much water is flowing. I don't know how much is flowing out. They
I don't
might
see
be.
any.
Yeah,
I don't see any going to the gutter.
I don't see anything going to the gutter, but they might have put that into the sewer.
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No, you are. You just have to pay for it.
What? Really?
Yes.
People put ground into the sewer?
Yes, because that's probably in a contaminated plume area. And in fact, if you have a contaminated plume, you either have to clean it up or put it into the sewer, and you have to pay for it.
Wow. I didn't know that you're allowed to do that.
Yes, you just have to pay for it.
Wow.
You can't. But the
But
storm drain you can do for
But
free.
you're allowed to put contaminated water into the sewer?
Yes, in fact, you're required to if you don't clean it up.
Really?
Yes.
Then what does the sewer plant do?
Sewer plant, I guess, somehow cleans it up. So that's what they do at Oregon Expressway.
Uh-huh.
So Oregon Expressway, which has those pumps there, originally they all pumped the groundwater always into the sewer,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and they paid a lot of money for it. Now they normally dump it into the creek after it goes through these carbon filters. But when the carbon filters aren't doing what they're supposed to do, then they direct it into the sewer.
I didn't know you were allowed to put stormwater into
Yeah, you are.
into the sewer.
Yeah, you are.
Wow.
You just have to pay for it.
Interesting.
And that's only because it overwhelms the sewer system, especially on big storms. You're not even supposed to take baths. They say you can avoid baths or washing dishes when we have a really big storm,
Uh-huh.
because our storm drain system leaks into the sewer system, and so
At least, really? I thought they were
yeah,
totally
there's
separate.
lots of leaks.
I thought
Oh,
they're
they're
separate.
separate, but
Yeah.
it leaks. There are leaks all over the
Huh.
systems. We lose water that way, potable water, and we lose.
Yeah,
water.
about 5% of sewage is lost. It's also lost into the groundwater. But anyway, back to the issue. The commercial sites tend to be bigger. The last year, one commercial site,
Park. He
Park.
talks about park.
Park, pumped 40% of the total water. One site. And they didn't do anything any
I
differently.
thought everyone's using cutoff walls now, right?
No, they're not mandated.
They're
to
not
use
mandated.
that.
And the reason this is important is there are two commercial sites that are coming up.
Which
And the Marriott Hotel, and the groundwater there is 7 feet below ground surface, and there's 2 acres of underground construction. It's
Man.
not small. It's 80,000 square feet.
It's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. And the second one is the police building.
Well, that's not commercial. Well, I
It's
guess
commercial. I mean, okay, it's not residential.
How they're doing it? Are they using cutoff walls or how they?
Right now, I don't know how they're doing it. They're free to do whatever they want. So all they have
I
to
thought
do,
commercial, the preferred method is cutoff walls.
it might be preferred, but it's not required. That's
Isn't that what they did on the Oregon Expressway?
what they did on Oregon Expressway, but it's not what they did on Park.
it's not required.
It's not required.
It's never been required, and it's not required in this revision, which was what we were asking for.
Yeah.
we asked for that, and it was in. Originally, we were told it was in, and then when they
Someone
sent
took
this,
it out because they couldn't agree on the wording. Someone in staff couldn't agree on the wording.
Yeah, they took it out.
So it was in a
And so now that it says it's going to be on a case-by-case
case-by-case basis, which is bad policy. You need to have clear guidelines. It can't just be the city engineer says, today the latte you brought me was good, and the cookies were not so good yesterday.
Well, that's a common issue I hear is that most people kind of say that there's kind of a lot of murkiness in terms of what's really supposed to be. I mean, people complain about that big time.
Yeah, and this revision, even for the residential dewatering, basically it says the regulations will be decided by the city engineer. It doesn't give any guidance to the regulations.
I see.
So it doesn't say what the regulations are supposed to accomplish. So that's not very good policy. And in fact, with SB 35 and SB 167, anyone could challenge and say this engineer is making unrealistic things. It has to be in the ordinance to actually have.
Well, I thought SB 35 also, I mean, even if it is an ordinance, right? If it's trying to take away local control.
We're trying to take local control, but but particularly if it's just a city staff member that's making a decision, they can just say this is just random.
I thought it didn't matter if it's staff member or.
I don't know. That's what I heard from someone who said that if it's in the ordinance, at least it's more.
Oh,
it's easier.
I didn't know it mattered. I thought SB part of SB 35 was to take away local control.
Well, that is the point. But I think
even if it's in an ordinance, it doesn't matter.
I can't comment.
Molly would tell us.
Yes, you can ask.
Yeah.
So the short answer, the bottom line is, staff really didn't come through, and I think Public Works overall kind of knows what should be done, but somehow there's something in there. They can have an ordinance that is much better for the residential. It's even better for the applicants because this ordinance a little bit shifts things towards cutoff walls, which work, but they have adverse effects as well.
Now, are you sure that project actually is pumping groundwater? Because I looked at that.
It may not. It definitely has wells inside. It definitely has wells inside, and so they may have put it in anticipating rain.
Yeah, I mean just incidental, right? Because
Yes.
I looked there. I didn't see like.
I'm not
talking
sure.
about park.
Yeah, no, I'm talking
no.
about San Antonio.
No, park I saw the dewatering.
Yeah,
No.
park
This
that's
one
very
on
clear.
El Camino and Page Mill. The one
and
on
Page
Page
Mill.
Mill.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. What I can say
Just
is
look. I
I don't see any water going anywhere.
I go past it every day.
Yeah.
So,
So we looked at it last time. I don't see any water coming out,
Yeah.
but I can tell you they're set up to do dewatering, and so they may not need it, and so they're not pumping.
Yeah.
But they may be saying if it rains, the groundwater is going to come up, and therefore we have to be prepared. And if it does come up, we're going to have contaminated groundwater, so we have to filter it.
Yeah.
But they have wells inside. They have wells inside the cutoff wall.
Well, I mean, you have to do that just because it rains, right? And you have a hole in the ground. So.
Well, yes, and it depends how much it rains. But I think they're probably more concerned that if it rains, then the groundwater will come up and there will be more pressure underneath. I don't know. It may be completely preventative.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I saw they had this big, gigantic mound of dirt in the middle.
Yes,
I don't quite get what's going on there.
I don't know what's getting on there either.
But I was looking at that and thinking, why do they have this big pile of dirt there? I thought they were digging a basement. You think they would? Yeah.
They would know that.
I don't know,
They're gonna make
but
Yeah.
they may. I don't know how they're putting the foundation. They may put the foundation in and then move the dirt to the outside of the foundation if they have. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know
it's contaminated dirt, or
Yeah, it might be contaminated dirt.
maybe they have to take it off specially.
Yeah, that may be correct.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I think for that project, they couldn't have done it without crop walls because there's buildings all around there, and if they did do it with crop walls, the pipe sort of came in, right?
Yeah, well, they could have used conventional shore. They had to use some kind of shore
Yeah, yeah, sure.
at the edge.
Yeah.
And cutoff wall, you can put the basement foundation right up against the edge of the cutoff wall.
Yeah.
With shoring, generally you can't do that.
Because it looks like they drilled like a gazillion holes around
Yes,
the
they
perimeter,
did.
right?
Yeah.
And then they put the basement walls around.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it looks like, and from the project, it didn't look like they had any pumping at all.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect it because that basement's looks like it's only down about 10 feet, 10 or 12 feet.
Oh, it
And
looks deeper than that, actually.
but the groundwater there is about 25 or 30 feet.
Oh.
So, and also they're fairly near the Oregon Expressway
Yeah.
Tunnel, and that's pulled the groundwater down there because that pulls water all the time.
Yeah.
So the groundwater there is about 20 feet. So
Although I haven't seen much water there lately. The Oregon Expressway, the underpass.
yeah, but there's a sump in there that's pulling water all the time.
Yeah, but during the
Rainy
storms,
season,
yeah,
you
sometimes
get some more.
you get flooded, it gets blocked, right? You have to go somewhere else.
Right. But that's because you get a lot of flow that flows in on the surface. But
Yeah.
normally it's pumping about, I heard, it pumps about 200 acre feet a year.
Okay.
So that's about
Oh, so maybe,
700 million, that's about 70 million gallons.
so maybe it's the natural dewatering, or not natural.
Well,
but it's the dewatering
it's
for that project.
It's dewatering, and but even so, even without that, so yes, I think there is a cone of depression that's
Yeah.
pretty close to the
Yeah.
region of influence.
Yeah.
How much it is, I don't know. It's probably a few feet.
But if that should have helped the park project as well. The park is just about as close, right, as the Oregon Expressway. So.
Yeah, it probably did. It probably did, but the park project is 2 levels down.
Mm.
So that's the other issue with commercial projects or non-residential is it's more likely to be really deep. Now, there's no limit on how deep you can build a residential basement or how many levels. You can build
It's all
5
about cost,
stories.
right? People, at a certain point, they're not going to do it because it costs too much.
And whether you want a 5-story deep basement.
Yeah.
It's,
Build a missile silo or something.
yeah.
Well, it costs too much, but we also have some very deep pockets, not ours,
Yes,
unfortunately,
yeah.
but some people do.
So kind of, I don't want to burn up, we're about done with the time. My question is, how do we, or how can you help ensure that
Well,
staff
if you
actually
don't think
finishes
this
it?
is right, then it should be full and should
Yeah, but then it won't get addressed in a timely manner. So what matters is that staff, so if you read the staff response, they said we should come back to it.
Uh-huh.
So I think what they
Well,
need
what-
to do is come back.
rather than like this, pass something that's not right. Why not really?
Just because of the time factor. So pass this, because it's sort of this incremental step, and then
No, I mean you could probably get enough council members to pull this, right? I mean, I would imagine, and then
yeah, but it won't get, but it only unless it's reheard. So we could get it pulled.
That I had no idea.
Yeah, but the problem isn't
Uh-huh.
pulling it. The problem is getting action, getting staff to come back with something by February.
That I
So
have no control of.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
so that's what. So what happens? So if you pass this, that's fine. Then staff, someone has to ask staff to come back and do what they said in
But
the
then all the pressure's off, right? There's no pressure to do it right, and then that's gonna be really hard. So I don't know.
Well, staff said they should do it.
Yeah,
Right?
but there's so many other things going on, right? So
Well, yes, but the main thing about that I think should be addressed is that we have a budget of 2,500, and that was not mentioned anywhere, and that we have the Marriott coming up, and that they should really.
what budget?
Groundwater budget.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last time that it's on this report page.
$2,500.
2,500 acre feet a year.
Yes.
Oh, you're
sorry,
talking
sorry.
about-
I'm talking about
dollar budget.
the
You're talking about-
groundwater
you're talking about-
groundwater budget.
Oh,
Yes, I think I had mentioned that.
Okay.
So it was in this meeting that we went, and they say, this is how much groundwater we should maximum pump out per year. So projected. So that's what's our groundwater budget. And what I'm saying is, when they authorize all these different projects, they should make sure that we don't go over budget. But there was no mention of it anywhere.
But this is including the total, not just the budget for dewatering. This is the total budget.
The
So-
total amount of water.
so-
And how did this come up? Like, how did
Groundwater balance, how much water is going in.
Oh.
This was as part of the indirect potable reuse project.
Yes, and it's on the city website.
I have an idea for you guys. What about like when people dig basements? What if they, since you already have the hole around, right, and you already where the big rocks, right? Why not have people inject the stormwater into the ground? So like instead of having all the rain gutter water go to the streets, why not just have it?
That's what it's supposed to do anyway.
No, but I mean,
No. But what you need to do is, of course, you have to have enough offset from the property
What I'm
boundaries.
saying is, it's like have like when you're digging a
Can we
basement.
draw it? Can you draw it? Can you say?
Yeah. So like,
Any pictures?
let's do this over here.
Yeah.
Have anything?
I was going to give this to you.
Oh, okay.
I have the paper here.
So why not like so
You have a basement.
let's say this is the ground, right? And you're digging a big hole, right? Okay. And then so the top layer, like I said, it's clay, right? So like at least my area,
Soil.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all clay, right?
Okay.
So so why not like, and then you have your little house up there, right? And it has all water.
Right.
Okay. So why not like, instead of just have it run off into the street or a storm drain, why not let the water, because you're digging this hole, why not have like almost like a dry well, you know what I'm saying? Like so basically when you have this big basement, right? And you're down to where you have like the river rocks, stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Why not have it so that it will forever going on, it will like offset it, right? It will inject water into the
Yeah, so we can talk about that. That's a long discussion. So already houses, whether they have a basement or not, are supposed to discharge their downspouts into the ground.
Be back 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, no, they don't though. You're supposed to have enough implant that this flows to the
They're
surface.
supposed to now.
Is that supposed to be?
That's what they're supposed to do. Now, not everyone does that.
No, but do they actually have pipes that go to the ground?
They don't have pipes
And
in
then
the ground, but it's supposed to go into a rain garden or something like that. That's what it's supposed to
No,
do.
but that's different, right?
Yes.
Because when you have this big basement, why not have a dry well down here, right? Where water from the roof can go down into there.
That's fine, but the basements and stormwater interaction is a whole big topic because
Well, what I'm saying is trying to, the whole idea behind this is to, have the groundwater in there, right? But I think what happens right now is we have this clay cap on top. A lot of water can make it into the lower level.
yeah, and that should be true whether it's a basement or not. You should.
But no, but
You're not. I don't
once-
think you're getting.
no,
what
but
I'm
once
saying.
once you dig the basement, you got past that clay cap, right? So then you can pump. You're not necessarily.
But you don't have space to do that.
Huh?
You
You
don't
don't
have
have
volume
space.
in the ground because the basement's taken up the soil.
No. What I'm saying is that you could basically, have
Like a pipe.
you have a pipe.
Yeah, no,
right?
I understand what you're.
And then basically when you have the river rock level, wherever that is, right?
Mhm.
You basically
Have your discharge.
discharge
Right,
it, right?
right.
Yeah, so that it can help restore the groundwater.
That's good, but one of the issues with underground construction in general, and particularly where they use cutoff walls, is they block the flow through that river rock.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying that it may block the flow, but this would inject more water into the ground.
Yeah, but if it doesn't flow, it doesn't really solve the problem.
Well, but still, it's getting more groundwater, right? Right.
Yes, it is getting more groundwater.
Yeah, because right now what happens is a lot of that water, instead of going into the ground, gets.
Well, especially in your area,
Yeah.
it flows on the surface rather
Surface,
than.
yeah.
I know, like my grass,
Mhm.
like in the front yard. I mean, it just goes right off that. It goes into the storm drain. It doesn't
Mhm.
like. It doesn't soak in the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like it to soak in the ground, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I made it go a little bit lower just so that I try to get that,
So where I live,
it just pools. It just pools on there,
Yeah.
and then it goes into
so that's a good thing to do, whether or not you have a basement. It's
So
trivial to-
essentially, it's something like a French drain.
it's just like a French drain.
But take advantage of the fact that you're at the river rock level, right? So like let water flow.
I mean, I think that's a good idea, whether or not you have a basement. It's trivial to do. You don't even have to dig a big hole. You just have to.
So you already have the hole, right?
Yeah,
So,
but when they build the basement now,
The pipe.
when what they do now, if they build the basement using conventional shoring and dewatering, when they're done, they deliberately pack impermeable soil
well, they can do that, but
all the way.
but instead of like having like maybe they dig the hole a little bit bigger, and then since they already have this hole, they
Yeah, I agree they can do it, but I can tell you what they do now is pack soil that they pack clay back in.
Yeah, but, I mean against the walls, but a little bit away from the wall, like a foot or so, they could, since they have a big hole, might as well
Well,
like.
what they do now is they pack it in after they put the wall in. Then they would have to drill another hole to have it drain. I'm just telling you what they do.
Well, I don't know.
But the laws could be changed.
Yes, the
No,
laws.
what
could
I'm
be-
saying is like that way there's an offset, right? Because then forever going forward, more water gets into the ground, right?
Yes.
Right, and then that helps alleviate the problem because it's taking advantage of the fact that you're digging this big hole anyways. Might
Right,
as well
right,
under-
right.
And you're going to where there's river rocks. Might
Right.
as well take advantage.
Yeah.
In fact, you could place it because you could see the river rock. Remember, right?
Well, it depends where. It depends where.
Yeah, and so one of the other things that the contractors want is that they want more borings so that they have a better idea of where, where is the
The
river
soil.
rock and the soil, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So just to put it in perspective, dewatering for one basement
Mhm.
pumps about 1,000 years of rainwater from that one site.
Well, but the thing about it is, if you make this big pipe and all the water should go in, then
No, I'm saying if you take all the rain that falls on the lot,
Uh-huh.
it's about 1,000 years of rain.
well, this will help make up for a little bit.
A little bit. That's right. It'll make up for
maybe 1 year,
about
Well, yeah,
50 years.
but
50
years. But still, it'll
It'll help. I agree. That's a good thing to do.
especially at the moment when it's
Yeah.
raining really hard,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
want the
and
water.
it puts less strain on the storm.
Yeah. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to do, but it doesn't mitigate the dewatering.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that.
It's a good thing to
It
do.
helps for
Yes.
flooding.
I'm just saying, like, if we're trying to fix the problem, let's really try to fix it. Right? Okay, we got it. Next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so
Okay.
much for your time.
Thank you.
What are you doing? This really?
Yeah. So you can read our comments, and the staff. It's in the staff packet. Was their answer to this? So
Okay.
our only concern is that they actually go ahead and pass this. Staff would like it to be passed. That's fine.
Sure.
But then don't
The
stop.
city council required that
The-
they
the-
come back with
the-
better,
the city council next year
the budget,
to come back with.
the buildings.
Okay. Well, I know. To me, it seems like it's better to deal with it once and for all versus.
But we've been trying
Yeah.
for 3 years. and
Thank you for
it's
your
not
efforts.
happening, so.
Okay. Hey, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I think
Have a
we
nice-
left some sense here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Right down on the staircase on your left.